Boom. According to that, I am live. Mm. Welcome. This is Tokyo Tonight. My name is Super Simon. Should close those, so keep the noise in. Welcome. First Tokyo Tonight in a while. Well, actually, I did it last week, but I was still in a bit of a haze and jet lag coming back from my trip. So yeah, first week back in Tokyo. It has been hot. Big news. The main big news to relay to everybody is just today. Give Me a Break Man and Unrested and I agreed that we are going to do a two and a half voyages with Unrested, who's in Japan at the moment. We'll be doing that with him next week. So next Saturday night, not Sunday. So morning if you're in the US, 24 hours before now. Sundays don't work for Scott Unrested, but they do work for me. So yeah, look out for that. We'll be doing a 2.5 voyages with Unrested. Should be awesome on Saturday, which means I'll still be back here doing this show on Sunday, of course. So good news there. Also, I think do we have DJ Sunnyside up in here? We've been continuing on with the MASH battle every week. Thanks for everybody who listened and voted this week. Where we were doing my suggestion of Push It by Salt and Pepper. And I'm very happy to say that the votes were counted and I won this week. So consecutive weeks. However, DJ Sunnyside Up picks the mix for this week. So I'm looking forward. I'm really enjoying it. Even when I was traveling, it was really fun doing that. So we'll see what he gets. I will be doing an after party after the show tonight. I am still super tired at the moment. It is hot in Tokyo. I've been out running. I've been going to the gym. But yeah, you get extra tired. It's just hot and humid already. Tons of things to talk about in the news. Again, still catching up a couple of weeks. This is really the first week of sort of properly catching up. There's bits and pieces going on, so we'll get you up to speed with everything that's happening in Japan. Of course, as always, we'll talk about anything you guys want to talk about. Yeah, it's just nice to be here with you all. Sunny, yeah, he left a comment earlier, but he doesn't seem to be around right now. I know that he's thinking about what the next challenge is going to be for the MASH battle, so I'm looking forward to that. But thanks to everybody who's been supporting that. It's been a lot of fun, and it means that the Tokyo Digital crew isn't just me. Well, it still is me, I suppose, but it's nice to have other members of the Tokyo Digital crew involved and stuff. So yeah, really appreciate that. And Sunny's been pushing me. He's been making me like I just posted the winning video, which was me recording the track that I did live. And I only ever used to mash like one track with another track, but because Sunny was doing like 2 or 3 tracks at the same time, yeah, he got me motivated. Where now I'm doing the same thing. I'm like challenging myself, and you can see it's actually I was running 5 tracks, mashing 5 tracks at the same time. So you can see how I did that anyway. It's pretty cool over there. So go subscribe, of course, over to Tokyo Digital Crew. Let's see who's in here. We've got Kubri's Tenchi in here first, pointing out earlier that whenever he votes, I win. Although I've noticed he seems to often vote for the one I didn't make, but that is all good. That makes it actually kind of fun. And a lot of the votes have been really close. In fact, this week, even though I got more votes, a lot of people said they had trouble picking. In fact, we had 2 people say draw. So it is super close. So good job, DJ Sunnyside Up. Good to have you in here. Yoni, our man from Finland, in here third. Nice to have you in here. Believe in yourself. Thank you for voting. Oi, our man in from Canada. Good to have you in here joining that. Roll With It, a great song by Steve Winwood. I'm sure I'd recognize it if I heard it. We've got Aaron now, moderator, booming in at 10:29, 1 minute before the show. I was 5 minutes late. Honestly, I was just sort of tidying up. I was here at the desk, but I was just tidying some stuff up. Not the room, obviously, but tidying up stuff on my desktop. So yeah, I was getting in some messages and some daily game missions and stuff like that. I was just closing everything out. So yeah, still playing Fortnite, by the way. If you ever want to play me on Fortnite, nobody here seems to do so, but I do play under the same handle. So there you go. Who else we got? Sadiq made it on time, exactly on time, 10:30 p.m. Good to have you in here. We've got Tadom. Great to have Tadom in here. Almost every week, actually. Great to have you in here, Tadom, as always. Who else we got in here? We got Black Tengu in from a Greek island in the sunny Aegean Sea. I saw you posting pictures from a restaurant in a Greek island in the sunny Aegean Sea. I'd love to see pictures of the food. It's the food that I want to see. I want to see lamb. I want to see yogurt. I want to see cheese. I want to see kebabs. I want to see all that good stuff. I think I've mentioned before, I've worked in a Greek restaurant as a cook for a summer as a university student. and during the Australian summer, and it was an outdoor sort of fast food Greek food place. And I love lamb, but being covered in lamb fat head to toe in 40-degree Celsius heat, um, yeah, every day that tests the limits of one's love for a food. But yeah, I still love lamb and I still love Greek food. So very, very jealous that you're in the, I know it's really hot in Europe at the moment. I saw it was a heat wave over there at the moment, but sounds like you're in the best place to be, Black Tengu. So good on you. Who else we got in here? We've got 5 likes according to Aaron. I hope there are more likes. I can't actually see the stream. I'm going through the StreamYard interface at the moment. So, well, in fact, if I switch over here, I guess I can see. But get those likes in. I do appreciate it. Remember, videos are not monetized. I literally am paid only with peanuts, squirrels, and likes. So I do appreciate all of that stuff. Who else we got in here? We got checking through. We got Black Tengu, Aaron. Aaron's craving Korean food. Seriously, like for me, the secret to Korean food, well, you know, when I was a student or whatever, even here, basically, if you just stir fry anything, meat and vegetables, and put gochujang, just stir gochujang into it, you've got Korean food, and it's delicious, and anything can be Korean food like that. So if I were you, I would go looking online for the Korean chili paste, gochujang. I don't think, I think they'll often sell it as a chili miso paste or something like that. But honestly, you stir fry that in with anything and it becomes delicious Korean food. And that got me through university. Highly recommended. Korean food is awesome. Not random at all. Shubhas in here. Glad that you made it. Good morning, Panama. Nice to have you in here. Hope you're enjoying a nice cup of coffee. We've got 270 AJ. Nice to have you in here. And everybody as well. We've got Lara made it. Great to see. Driving back home. Lara's... I hope you're not watching the stream while you're driving, Lara. But yeah, nice to hear that. Yeah, who else we got in here? We got 270 AJ, Shubas. We got Lara driving from where? Asks Aaron. We got Yuri the Best in from Kyiv. Good to have you in here. Are you still in Kyiv, by the way, Yuri? Always good to have you here in the chat. And again, hoping everything's like relatively safe. I mean, I'm still hearing the numbers of casualties don't seem that high, but they're every day, right? You're getting drones and stuff like that. So again, hoping everything is okay where you are and that you're safe and well. And really, really great to have you here in the comments of the show. Musashi Mark, nice to have you in here as always. The food indeed. Quint Rankin, great to have you in here as always. 10 likes, increasing as we go. You posted a foodie pic. I've got to go have a look at my Facebook to go catch that. We got squirrels, we got peanuts, we got likes, we got everything. Glad to see. Who else we got in here? I think that's everybody. Kind of alarmed that somebody, if you're watching the show, hopefully you're listening to the show while driving, if anything. And certainly that is the only circumstance where I will forgive not liking or typing in comments is if you are also driving. But yes, great to have everybody in here. I did actually collect some news topics. Oh, we've got a new name in here, one that I don't recognize, a Hyogo. Hello from India, another Indiana person. Although Hyogo, that sounds totally like you're from Kobe, because Hyogo is, of course, the prefecture that Kobe is in, and Hyogo just sounds like a New Zealander from Hyogo, but you are from Indiana. How many Indianans do we have in here? We have Aaron, we've got DJ Sunny Side Up, we have Hyogo. It's seriously like, sometimes it's kind of similar where I meet so many people in Japan from North Carolina. It's like based on people that I seem to meet, it's like America's main states are Indiana and North Carolina, which I know isn't true, but it seems to be the case just based on people that I meet. So, yeah, you lived near Kobe for 5 years, though. There we go, 2006 to 2011. Cool. Very glad that you could join. Is this a new handle, or are you like first time joining the chat? It's always good to have new people in the chat. Make friends with everybody. So, yeah, and keeping safe, everybody. So, yeah. The best people are from Indiana, says Aaron, and that is a thing. Certainly see all the evidence says points to yes. What can we say? First time joining chat. Nice to have you here in the chat. Remember, you can raise questions, topics, anything that you want, but otherwise I am going to get on with it. Nesta, glad that you could make it in here, Nesta. Good to see you. I've been on Fortnite, by the way. I was just playing a little bit before the stream, actually, although getting in there when I can, which isn't very often. But I don't know. I really like the Star Wars season. I'm not liking the new season as much, but I'm still getting my missions in. So what can I do? Cool to have you on here. Anyway, you can ask anything. Address it to me, and I will answer. A little bit afraid of what you might ask, but we'll give it a go. Anyway, going to jump in. So, what have we got here? The 10 best beaches near Tokyo. Now, when I saw this, there are beaches near Tokyo. The nearest beaches to Tokyo are the ones in Shonan, which are like from central Tokyo by train, less than an hour, like 45 minutes by train. Um, really crowded, not many waves. You can get kind of waves at Shonan with the right conditions. There's these plastic bags and stuff in the water, jellyfish. The beach themselves are okay. And I know guys like Phoenix and so on, Phoenix 787, whatever his handle is, Phoenix. Zach, I know that he hangs out down there a lot, but not really my thing. I've been to Shonan a few times, but you might not even get waves if you go down there. I like to go to Chiba, which is like a solid hour and a half to 2 hours really from central Tokyo. Still counts as kind of beaches around Tokyo. And a beach not mentioned on this list that was my favorite beach in Chiba is at the very bottom of the Chiba Peninsula, so the furthest away from Tokyo actually, but is oh god, I just had it in my head. It's the very bottom of Chiba. Oh god. Well, anyway, the beach down at the very bottom of Chiba is the best one there. In fact, is it on here? It's not on here. I was good because I suddenly I've gotten confused with it's not Tatsumi. God, it's Tata Dohama, which is in Shizuoka. This is actually one of my favorite beaches in Japan right here, but it is a solid 3.5 hours away from Tokyo. I mean, once you get 3.5 hours away from Tokyo, you're talking like it's literally 2 prefectures away. You literally go from Tokyo through Kanagawa, through Shizuoka to the very bottom of Shizuoka. There's good surfing in Chiba. There's actually good surfing even in Kanagawa, but better surfing in Chiba and very good surfing in Shizuoka. I don't think this really counts. I don't think that Atami and Shirahama and Tatadohama count because they are so far away. Kyujukuri and Onjuku, these are Chiba beaches and these are really, really good. Where is Moria? Moria sounds near Katsura. Okay, Katsura. Yeah, that's actually one of the first places where I ever surfed in Japan, also in Chiba. Odaiba, I would not swim in. Oh my God. Oh my God, please chill out by the water, but definitely not in it because you will probably get sick. They had the Olympic triathlon there and people were getting sick because the water is not good. It's an artificial, the beach looks lovely. Sunset, yes. Yeah, Gaijin Pod, if you're gonna like promote Odaiba Beach, you gotta point out that it's not safe to jump in the water. It's better than it used to be. I once had some Australian friends that jumped into the beach at Odaiba on a dare and they came out covered in like grey film and became sick for 2 weeks. So don't do that, if you can avoid it. But yeah. Can I address Abe Akia's visit to Putin? Says Quint Rankid. I think I did briefly a couple of shows ago, actually. I've talked about this on the stream. And my take on this is her pointing out that, Putin and Abe were sort of friends, but even Abe cut things off from Putin when he invaded Ukraine. That was beyond the pale for everybody. And honestly, Ikea going over there without the Japanese government's sort of approval and saying, what great friends they were. And the thing that's frustrating, I think I talked about this, how it's really frustrating because Abe's relationship with Putin, Abe held everything out there that, he wanted the Brezhnev deal over the northeast territories, the southern Kuril Islands. He wanted that deal to be followed through, which was a deal that Russia would hand 2 of the 2 smallest islands and uninhabited islands back, and that they would do some sort of an energy deal, probably getting, just like Germany had with Russia, getting a pipeline of Russian gas into Japan, which would have solved a lot of Japan's energy problems and helped economically develop the Far East of Russia. It was a total win-win. Just for 2 rocks that Brezhnev's already admitted belonged to Japan, and then to negotiate the other 2 islands later. And instead of that, Putin thought it was more important to constitutionally ban changing Russia's territory, which basically shut down those negotiations, and then to go and invade Ukraine. So those things ended. And again, while IKEA was always, she's pro-LGBTQ and was actually seen as a very kind of sort of liberal and very well-liked counterweight to Abe's social conservatism, and very well liked. Everyone sort of honestly thinks that Aki has lost her mind going and being friendly with Putin at the moment, and I agree with her. I agree with that take. That is my take on her going and visiting Putin, and again, kind of fawning over him and being kind of like differential and nice, and for what, you know? So anyway, that's really, I don't have an awful lot more to say. I think I've said that stuff before, but yeah, you can ask me a topic anytime. Honda launched a successful rocket a few days ago, Kerberos Tenchi. That is in the topics. It's probably the very last one that I've got. It's basically, it only launched a couple of 100 meters into the air. It is, so it's like the Grasshopper rocket of SpaceX that they had like 8 years ago now. But yeah, vertical takeoff, landing, and it did things that even SpaceX can't do. Like it had retractable like landing legs and stuff like that, like controlled landing legs. Right, the Falcon X only has like these spring-powered things. And it takes off vertically without them out, whereas this actually takes off and lands. You know, it takes off the same way that it lands. So there were things about the Honda demonstrator that while it is still low altitude and they're not thinking about anything orbital, they're thinking about suborbital, but being able to use basically a rocket, for example, for delivering supplies anywhere in the world very quickly. Super, super cool. And actually not even apparently like, well, for example, Mitsubishi Heavy, which is not directly related to Mitsubishi Motors, but I mean, the Lunar Rover, I think Toyota is involved in that. Honda, you know, like Japanese car companies have been involved in space stuff. Mitsubishi, of course, makes the H3 rocket, Japan's main rocket. By the way, the H2A had its final launch yesterday, I think, and it was successful. Now it's been superseded by the H3 by a better rocket, but yeah. Thanks, DJ Sunny Side Up. Appreciate that, but also appreciate how close the battle was. Your mix was awesome as well, and everybody said so. Everybody said it was super tight, so do appreciate that. Waito-san, good to have you in here from Saga. Nice to have our South African friend in Kyushu joining the chat. Do appreciate having you here, and I hope everything's good with you. So yeah, what else we got in here? We got another Hoosier. Who's the other Hoosier? Oh, of course, yes, Hyogoer, another Hoosier in the house. Did I pronounce that correctly? I don't know. No problem at all, Quint. Again, topics welcome. You might not like the answers. I might not like the answers. We're talking about Iran tonight, so we do have things to talk about, definitely. Yeah, Kawasaki Heavy, a whole bunch of companies, actually. IHI, Mitsubishi, Kawasaki, a whole bunch of companies, actually, teaming on that. But yeah, it's pretty cool. So what else have we got? Anyway, so for beaches, a list, but honestly, Odaiba's on the list, and do not swim anywhere in actual Tokyo Prefecture. Oh my God, do not swim at Odaiba. It looks okay, but surely you'd be able to tell by the smell of the water. Vastly improved from 10 years ago, but people still got sick when they got in there during the Olympics. So, you know, that's a warning. But some great beaches on there. So blog at gaijinpod.com. Lately they're posting really useful stuff like visa information, for example, and you know, I think I've got the sales rep past some other things, for example, on what your employer can find out about if you change your job or something like that. So yeah, all sorts of stuff. Anyway, what else we got here? We've got some news here. I think I've talked about Kunrei and the what do they call it? The two Romaji systems. The one that everybody actually uses that makes sense, and Kunrei, Hepburn. So everybody uses Hepburn because it looks like basically how we would write Japanese in English by ear. For example, Aichi, we would spell A-I-C-H-I. However, the Kunrei style are basically just consistently. The problem with Hepburn is that in Japanese, you've got ta, chi, tu, te, to. And everything basically you could convert consistently to being ta, ti, tu, make everything ti. Even though TSU and CHI are how you pronounce chi and tsu. But if you want to type, one, it saves time typing, and two, it does make everything line up more consistently with how Japanese think of it, which is Japanese think of tsu as the same in the same family of of letters starting with T, like ta. So the Kunrei style kind of reflects a Japanese mindset of converting Japanese into using Romaji characters, whereas the Hepburn style really reflects writing down Japanese as it is spoken and as you hear it. So Hepburn is more natural for, frankly, well, anyone who doesn't speak Japanese who wants to basically record how Japanese sounds and to read. The problem with Kunrei style is that it doesn't reflect how Japanese is actually pronounced. You can see Atsugi. I just said TSU is ATU. CHI is TI because they're both seen as starting with T. So you have these examples here. Gifu, again, hahi hu he ho. So again, even though fu is pronounced, Japanese can't pronounce hu. They always say fu, but they'd write it consistently. So kunrei made sense kind of 120 years ago when Japanese didn't really understand any concept of, if you show them it didn't make it wouldn't have made sense to people 100 years ago in Japan, even though that's how they pronounced it. So a lot of train stations and a lot of actual government documents still officially stick to kunrei style, which was developed, I think, by Japanese government like 100 years ago. But pretty much everyone who learns Japanese, who's writing down and using Romaji for studying purposes or whatever, for understanding how to pronounce places' names, uses Hepburn. But neither style is actually formally the official Romaji of Japan. So they're only talking about now in Japan about actually formalizing Hepburn as the sort of uniform way to Romanize Japanese, to use Western letters for Japanese letters. And I think it's kind of obvious, especially if you want to make Japan, I mean, the way that Japan is promoting tourism and so on and foreign investment, the way that the yen is crashing, which is something that we'll come to later, and that Japan wants to boost foreign investment to try to correct that and so on. For such, just don't confuse people. It can be a little bit disruptive changing place names and so on based on the Romanization system. I remember Korea did this. Korea had a similar anarchic. They had no standardized way of Romanizing place names, which resulted famously in Busan, for example. The city of Busan in the south was renamed Busan, mainly because again, Korea, there's a different reason with Korea. Korea, they have a very aspirated B. They say B with a lot of air, but not quite a P. It's kind of in between. But when you say Busan, it sounds like, people are overdoing it for Korean ears, so they softened it to B, even though it's kind of honestly in between. But it forced them to rename, for example, the Chokto Islands, which Korea claims from Japan, which are oh God, I'm tired at the moment. It's not the Senkaku Islands. They haven't been in the news lately, but oh my God, it's so hilarious. I can remember the Korean name, but not the Japanese name. I am tired today. But anyway, the disputed islands, the Lion Court Rocks, Chokto, or someone fill it in for me. Anyway, it's driving me crazy. But anyway, the Korean name, they actually changed it to Dokdo, D to T, because again, they felt like they were Romanizing everything too hard, which again, T as with P, they give it a lot of air. So, Japan doing the same thing, but honestly, like this says, it matters to Japanese learners and pretty much anyone who doesn't read Japanese script and uses Romaji as a substitute. Kunrei is just absolutely confusing. Anyway, probably makes sense. Kunrei, I believe, should be set on fire. People write words as people say them. Gifu, for example, is actually pronounced Gifu, isn't it? Says Ben CG. That's not exactly it. The whole point is everyone says Gifu. I mean, it's like a Maori WH. It's closer to F than it is to H, but it's kind of in between. Sea of Korea Island, perfect. DJ Sunny Soda, thank you. God, why can't I remember? Takeshima. Oh my God. I am tired. I need this to be coffee at the moment. I've got a bit too much sun today. Moving on. Japanese parents are increasingly using ChatGPT to help with child support, which makes me suddenly think, man, I wish I had ChatGPT. Although if I did, I might have been feeding my son rocks. Do you remember when Google search results recommended like rocks as a type of food? Oh yeah, rari-ru-re-ro. So yeah, that's another thing as well, of course, how you do it. Thank you, Tadom Takeshima. Yes. So yeah, to me, this is such an obvious, like when you're having meltdowns and panics and you need psychiatric counseling on the spot and just general advice. Given that the AI models are really getting better and better, I don't know how good they are for childcare. And I know that the early versions of a lot of the AI models were alarmingly terrible and bad ideas to use for childcare. But to me, it's like online shopping from the supermarket, which, I haven't stopped doing since my son was a baby, pretty much. We got into the habit of buying groceries online then, and you never get out of it. But definitely using AI for childcare support and for tips on what to do with the. I mean, it's definitely better than trying to figure it out. On the floor. Well, maybe it's not. I don't know, but this just seems like a no-brainer. In fact, now that I see this, I'm kind of like, man, I wish I had that back then. The statistics for it are interesting, given that Japan is often a little bit slow to pick up these things, but apparently, 25% or so say frequently, and another 41%, here we go, 25.5% say frequently, or 41% say sometimes. Consulting about parenting problems apparently is the main thing that people look up. Keeping records on childcare. Okay. Managing daily routines, recording when they're throwing up and when they're throwing tantrums. It's a pretty good idea. Consulting about child's health. Definitely. Talking about anxieties and frustrations. Definitely. Planning meals for children. Definitely. Playtime ideas. Definitely. I mean, I'm from the generation that you tried to hand them an iPad and hope that they wouldn't burn their house down. Um, and I was raised in the generation, of course, where you just put us in front of the television. I guess you're not putting them in front of the AI. You're having the AI making suggestions on doing things better than leaving them in front of the TV. I don't know. I see this as only being better. I mean, provided that they're not taking over, actually raising the baby, which we're probably also pretty close to, if you think about it. In fact, now there's an idea for an AI app. That's terrifying, isn't it? Imagine an AI app designed to replace um, you know, television or the iPad like baby videos and games. I mean, if you did it in a way that was actually educational and beneficial for the baby, but there again, does a parent want that, or do they want something that just distracts them and gives them a moment to breathe and go through a meltdown, quietly? In which case, you want something highly addictive for the kid, in which case, yeah, that could be sort of dangerous as well, now that I think about it. But this is actually, it's not really a use case of AI that I'd thought very much about. But since this article raises it, it seems to be a no-brainer to me. Jane Motz, great to see you. Thanks for joining. Whatever happened to reading books about raising kids? I mean, I think people do that, but the other thing is, yeah, once you're actually covered in poop and the kid's throwing food at you and screaming, you just don't really find those moments that you want to have to fight, to go through the book and find the specific reference on what to do. Uh, and that sounds like an exaggeration. It is not. I have literally been covered head to toe in poop and dealt with all the things at the same time. You just don't really, when you were literally in a war zone raising kids. So the idea of being able to just go to ChatGPT to say, what the hell do I do? Yeah, that really, really appeals. Anyway, whatever happened to reading books about raising kids? Not that easy anyway. Quinn Rankin, have I ever run across the channel Alberta Tech? She does shorts about fun with AI. That sounds really cool. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to go and Alberta Tech. I'm going to put that in now so that I don't forget. And I'm going to check out that channel after the show. Thank you. This looks cool. Yes, I will check this out. Thanks very much for the recommendation. Do appreciate it, Quint Rankid. What do we got here? We got DJ Sunny Setup's already come up with the next MASH battle. Britney Spears. Oops, I did it again. That's going to be our MASH battle. Oops, I did it again. Okay. Well, that's got some possibility. So when I do the after party tonight, I mean, I suppose what I naturally do is I get the song and I just mix it with everything. And that can be super fun, but I guess I'm not going to do that. I don't want to give away the game. So we'll be doing everything in the after party except for Britney Spears. Oops, I did it again. But interesting. Yeah, I think that's going to be a great MASH battle. Thank you for the suggestion. I'm looking forward to that. Yes, that would be a chapter 11 on how to deal with poop. No. The kids are not covered in poop. I mean, believe me, the kids. Jane, do you have kids? Because seriously, you are the one covered in poop. Kids don't project. It doesn't boomerang back on the kids. It comes onto you. You have to understand, you are the one that ends up, and this just raises all sorts of logistical problems, not only for finding the book and opening it, but getting to chapter 11 when you're the one covered in poop. It's not easy. It's not easy. So yeah. So Lara's back after hopefully not watching the show while driving, but there we go. Busan, there we go. We did get to Busan. Anyway, the challenges. So this is a situation we're definitely shouting to ChatGPT what to do, or Alexa to call 911 or something. Definitely. I don't know. I'm more down with this than I thought I would be. SoftBank is about to start using airships for air disaster network coverage from 2027. And I must say, I mean, setting aside famous airship incidents, I mean, airships, the Goodyear blimp, whatever, airships have been around, safe airships, fueled with helium instead of hydrogen, have been around forever. They're not a new technology. So, and actually, one, this makes so much sense because when you have these huge earthquakes in Japan, like the 311 earthquake, you know, the loss of cell phone coverage is one of the major challenges. The loss of communication networks and information associated with that. Fortunately, with mobile stations, of course, you don't need to put up wires. You just need to put up mobile stations and so on. But they would be driving around trucks and stuff like that to try to give limited mobile coverage to people. And of course, a big problem with Japan is that it's extremely mountainous. So even if you can, reestablish stations somewhere remote, they're hard to get to. Even driving around, it doesn't work. But having airships with mobile phone transmitters on them makes a ton of sense. In fact, it's obviously a technology which competes with Starlink from SpaceX and satellite-based communications, which is also already here and on the way. Competing services are on the way. But, this is close to Earth. It's cheap. It can be put up for emergencies and taken down again. The question to me is kind of like it's a great alternative for disaster relief and maybe even for connectivity to remote locations. But it also makes me think, why isn't this already a thing? Why do we have to wait to 2027 for this? Like, yeah, that makes so much sense. It's kind of like, why don't we already have it? So, yeah, we've got, you're listening as a podcast. Thank heavens you were watching this while driving. Alexa, what do I do if I'm covered in poop? I mean, honestly, at that point, it's kind of already too late, but it's a question I would have asked. Thank heavens, by the way, I changed the trigger words on all of my things so I can talk about it. But there we go. Lara's still in Italy and driving. If you're driving while watching the show, maybe the driving's the same. I don't know. Anyway, moving on. What else have we got here? Google is apparently going to be incorporating AI into Google search, first into Google search, now coming to YouTube. And I have to say, I've been waiting, like when Google released all these very cool AI products, including the most recent one, the amazing one, Veo 3, where you literally say, like they have the videos of the Stormtrooper vlogs, where they have Stormtroopers, vlogging selfies of being involved in major episodes of Star Wars, setting aside the copyright and issues like that. The Yeti and Sasquatch vlogging videos and stuff like that, they are brilliant content that people are creating in VO3 and uploading onto YouTube and whatever. Why aren't these amazing Google tools, AI tools, why weren't they incorporated into YouTube ages ago? When they started releasing AI products, I was like, oh great, you can index all of my videos and all of my voice and all that sort of stuff, and let me create. You should be able to create. There's enough data on my channel. There's thousands of videos. They should be able to create something which both sounds and talks a lot like me. You have these 11 Labs things where you talk to it for half an hour to get a really good version of your voice. The creators should have access. Like Google puts out tools that does this for you, and you plug it into YouTube. I want access to it for my own stuff. And I'm kind of surprised that for the amazing AI tools that Google's releasing, YouTube doesn't really seem to visit, and everybody's using YouTube to train their AIs. YouTube creators are not really getting the use of the AI tools that Google is clearly using YouTube to train. And I'm cool with Google doing cool things with AI. I'm more cool with AI probably than most people, but I want to use the stuff, right? Especially, I assume I'm contributing to it. I want to get the benefits of it. The Notebook LM style, doing the podcast stuff where you write something down, it turns it into, I've been playing with that lately and it is amazing for doing summaries of documents. For again, if you're driving, especially in a place like Italy where you should be watching the road probably, you can actually, and you got to read a document on the way to work, listen to it as a really cool sounding podcast. It's really, really awesome. I don't know why this stuff is not more integrated into YouTube. It's just, I mean, I get it. Maybe YouTube will become overwhelmed with AI slop. but it already kind of is in a way. I mean, people are just making it elsewhere on Google and then uploading it. What about the thumbnails or whatever? When Sunny and I do our mash battles, we have to hide our identities while we're doing it. So of course we create these DJ battling thumbnails, which we go to. I create. I don't know where Sunny creates his, but I create them in ChatGPT, and it's great. But again, why should I have to go outside of Google for something as simple as generating an image to put onto a video in YouTube? Why isn't that available in YouTube? It doesn't make sense. So the fact that Google is starting to introduce AI features into YouTube, well, great, but it's like, seriously, where the hell you been? It's been 7 years, like since ChatGPT came out. It's been what, 4 or 5 years. So it really feels like YouTube is really, and Google is not the agile company that it used to be. And this is really why they're going to get their ass kicked, because they move too slowly on this stuff. I mean, YouTube is still a massive platform, and you just have a huge head start with that, which I guess makes them think that they're already number one. So why try harder, to quote the T-shirt of the Fatboy Slim album cover. But yeah, Google, do better. Seriously, like integrate this stuff. I want to be using all of this stuff right here, and I want access to it as a creator. That's me. I want all 12 fingers holding. Mutant Hand says Nesta, but even that stuff is all like amazingly better, right? Still has trouble with hands, but it's getting better. So I don't know. I just want to use all the tools anyway. Jane Motz can't wait for YouTube to finally have an automatic translation feature for live streams for foreign YouTubers. Yes. I mean, YouTube has been promoting this thing, which sounds amazing, that you can actually auto dub. And not only, I mean, so again, Google has demonstrated technology where it will not only translate, I mean, it can already translate captions in lots of languages, but of course that technology is improving, but it can also now generate audio in multiple languages in your voice, as if I was speaking Chinese in my own voice. And it will even modify the video to move my lips to make it appear like I'm naturally speaking Chinese in my voice. I want that. I want that. I mean, that would be amazing, not just to make the videos accessible and to allow people that don't speak English, for example, to join and participate in the chat and watch these videos, but also like just for me, for learning language or, something like that, to be able to hear yourself speaking correctly in any foreign language that you want to learn and being able to use that to train yourself. But this stuff is there. Google is making it and releasing it. And it's like, where the hell is it? It's not on YouTube. So I don't know. I'm actually like crash the plane, Hulk Hogan. Full down. Don't try to pull up. Go down, YouTube. Seriously. Where's my AI stuff? You guys are supposed to be good at this. Quentin Rankin, you prefer accurate subtitles? I mean, they're doing better than they used to be, but yeah, I get it. But they are getting better. And again, here's the thing as well. I will personally like help out if the subtitles are bad, and if I've got the free time, I'll correct them and improve them for Google. And everybody doing that a little bit makes them all better, make them all available, make them easy to fix, whatever. Is my attitude to this. I know there's a lot of people violently against AI, especially in creative fields. And plagiarism is a massive problem. IP infringement is a massive problem. But there again, I think there are so many cool, beneficial, entertaining, worthwhile uses, and the technology is so exciting and it's moving so fast. I want in. I'm like, Google, why aren't you doing this properly? Anyway, all of this stuff. AI, whatever you do, don't jump the shark, says believe in yourself. Probably true. Next one that we've got, the yen. The yen just apparently yesterday got below. By below, I mean like above 160, but 160 yen. Obviously, the more yen you need to buy a dollar, the cheaper that the yen is, right? The more expensive the dollar, the cheaper the yen, the more yen it takes to buy $1. Typically, $1, it should take between 100, normally 105 and 110. The middle model I've always used for converting US dollar stuff to yen has always been 105. It's almost been 1-to-1. It's like 100 yen equals a dollar. And yet, right now, we've just gone above 160. So Japan, by that measure, is on a 60% off sale right now. The downside is that to get the benefit of everything being ridiculous, if you get US dollars at the moment, you come to Japan, stuff that still, for me, I mean, Japan hasn't had inflation either. So on top of the fact that we haven't had inflated prices, things are still the same. And on top of that, you have the currency is more than 50, seriously, close to 60% incorrectly valued at the moment, which makes everything on sale in Japan. The only downside is you have to come here and deal with the Japanese summer. That is not to be fucked with. Seriously, it still is okay at the moment. Well, it's okay. It's 33. It's pretty humid and horrible at the moment, but it's going to get a lot worse, and you'll have to deal with that. But by God, one, how good is that? How that rate, and how bad is it that I'm going to Australia in August, and I'm going to America in September. I'm going to Seattle in September, and I don't know. I think I'm going to be drinking lots of water. I don't know how I'm going to survive outside of the country where everything is going to be inflated by that much for me. I heard there's something to do with US. What's the deal here? A forecast beating US inflation reading dented expectations for interest rate cuts. So apparently, this is something that caused the value of the US dollar to rise. For what it's worth, remember that Trump specifically is for a cheap US dollar explicitly. He wants basically America. He doesn't want a trade based order where Americans are rich and going and spending their money outside of America. He doesn't want cheap Chinese made iPhones. He wants American made iPhones and jobs in America based on people exporting. And the idea that America can be prosperous based on, internal value for money and people earning money and sending stuff to the rest of the world, which actually relies on, if you want manufacturing jobs in America, you need to export stuff. Also, the whole balance of trade thing, the whole idea that, selling, buying more stuff from other countries and selling it is somehow those countries ripping you off. That philosophy says that you need the American dollar to be cheap. And in fact, while Japan is getting punished with this yen being too low, and the Japanese government's intervening to do something about it, Trump is not just Trump, but the U.S. administration have been citing this as another unfair form of competition that they want to further penalize Japan for, because they see having a cheap yen obviously makes Japanese exports to America cheaper, which they see as unfair competition. But Japan doesn't even want the yen. I mean, I'm sure some people, the car companies, are quite happy for the yen to be this cheap. But you put a 25% tariff on, the yen is 60% out of whack. So I suppose it actually maybe rescues the car companies to an extent, but this is not good for the Japanese economy. And even the US dollar being this expensive isn't the policy of the US. So I don't know. I mean, I would seriously like America, for both of our sakes, for the current isolationist mindset of the US government, which is, to make stuff in the US cheap for people in other countries to buy, and for helping me out. Although I suppose I've got US stocks that I should be, I should be selling them right now, shouldn't I? While the yen is so cheap. Hopefully it doesn't get worse than this. But America, wait till I've sold some of my American stocks and then print money like crazy. Go full Argentina, Zimbabwe style. Do that. It'll lower the value of your currency. It'll help you achieve your goals, and it won't make me so poor when I go to America in September. Thank you very much. Hope that you heard that. Saint it, sir. Good to have you joining us, New York City in the morning. Great to have that. Apparently, wow, Koberstenchi, summer is horrible even in Germany at the moment. Wow, everybody's suffering. So yeah, Koberstenchi in the UK as well. Jane Motz is suffering the heat where she is. Care Bear's not looking happy with the heat. I'm guessing that's the cause. So you got Eder in from Denmark. Good to see you. Nice to have you in the chat as always. But US dollar's been trending down against the euro since it started. So I guess the euro is going even more crazy. I don't know. When I was in Europe, I did get did I mention I got a t-shirt? I should show you the shirt. I should have worn the shirt, actually. Let me show you the shirt. I got a 65 euro t-shirt. It didn't even occur to me that a t-shirt could cost 65 euros. I bought this shirt. It's a cool shirt. But 65 euros, oh my God. I nearly died. Let me show you. I think I mentioned this on the recap last week that I was in Monaco and just taking a break on the way to Antibes in France, and I thought I should get a souvenir. That was a mistake, man. Monaco. I mean, it's Monaco. Everybody said, "Yeah, Monaco. What do you expect?" And 65 euro ain't that bad. In Japan, you get this for like 2,000 yen, right? I spent like 11,000 yen on this, although of course the yen is in the toilet at the moment. The Monaco 1975 F1 logo, year I was born. Pretty cool, right? I mean, it's a good shirt. It's a bit wrinkled at the moment. Geez, I should probably get this dry cleaned, given that I spent like 65 freaking euro on it. But it's a cool shirt. This is the most expensive shirt I've bought in my entire life. I actually knew that something was up when I went to go pay for it. And you know how when you use the touch with your phone, like above a certain threshold, it says, "Oh, you can't use touch. You've got to insert your card for this." And I didn't even check the price, which was a mistake. obviously. But yeah, I went to go tap my phone. It was like, no, you need to insert card. This is more expensive than that. Oh my god, how much is it? But it is a cool shirt. Uh, yeah, maybe I'll wear it next week anyway. But yeah, yeah. So the euro was also kind of painful. Although I must admit, buying a 65 euro t-shirt in Monaco made everything else on the trip seem cheap. So it helped put everything in perspective. But there you go. Japan is suffering at the moment. Speaking of suffering, rice. Well, congratulations to the Japanese government and Japanese rice farmers, because even with the crazy rice tariffs that Japan has right now, the last couple of months, heavily tariffed imported rice is now, have a look at this, Japan's private sector. So while the Japanese government has imported rice to keep stockpiles, loaded up in Japan, right now there's never really been private sector like restaurants and companies like importing rice themselves. They've just let the government deal with the management of rice in Japan, which I've talked about before, is essentially a Stalinist, agricultural management system. Well, here we are. The last couple of months, it's actually been, even with all the tariffs, because the price of mismanaged Japanese domestically grown rice has gone so high by the Japanese government, they've actually created a situation where even heavily tariffed rice is actually more cheap. Imported rice is more cheap than domestic rice, and people are importing it like crazy. And they're discovering it doesn't taste so bad. Previously, Japan deliberately imported Thai rice, which is a different variety to Japan. And when they released it during a shortage in 1995, everybody thought it tasted disgusting. And it actually supported protectionism in Japan because people didn't want to eat the horrible imported rice anymore. They did not import the Californian and Australian varieties of rice that are very similar to Japanese rice, and sometimes actual Japanese varieties grown in those locations. But now people are discovering that, yeah, you can actually get pretty good rice imported from America and California, and it tastes pretty good, and you don't have to deal with all of this bullshit and mismanagement from Japanese farmers and the Japanese government, and they're enjoying it. So, yeah, we may be screwed by the yen, but it seems to be doing well for rice growers. Quinn Rankin, what is my source for the exchange rate yen to dollars, please? On Google, honestly. That's literally from news stories that it comes out, and I think that's like the trading rate, so it's not what you get as a bank rate. I don't trade yen every day. It's just sort of indicative. Obviously, I would use my bank rate if I was selling shares or whatever, because that's where it would be getting converted, and it wouldn't be 160. It'd be, they always vary it by about 10 between selling and buying and all of that. But yeah, you can. I probably look up Yahoo Finance in Japan for that. But this is wherever it's traded anyway. But it's hit a new threshold. It is the highest. Currently, Japanese yen against the US dollar is the lowest in about 35 years, I think it was announced. So it's kind of crazy. Anyway, Believe in Yourself had a $400 lambskin jacket in 1992. Well, the lambs, thank you. So there you go. Google currently says 145 yen to US dollar. That is funny. I actually saw the update from Langley Esquire this morning highlighting the 160 yen thing. Where is that story again? And I saw other news verifying that. So 429. Oh, wait a minute. This is from April. But I saw Langley Esquire talking about it hitting 160 this morning, so I went looking for a news story to support that. That might be wrong. But I think I saw something. That news story is out of date. So I see now this is from April 29. I thought that was June 29 for some reason, but I did see Langley Esquire's Informed Japan Expert Insights podcast talking about 160 yen at length this morning. So I thought it was a good topic to talk about. But okay, I'm wrong about that. We've got 5 minutes left, so although I did start 5 minutes late, so I'm going to keep charging. Thank you, Cobra Tenshio. I feel like I should go recheck that now. I may have been wrong about that, but I picked it from a site, from a person that I trust. In fact, he actually mentioned how his bulletins on Japanese politics and economy, apparently lots of ambassadors actually use that as material for their wires back to their countries on what's going on in Japan. And I look at it myself. It's on Sunday morning, so it actually helps with preparing for the show. There's a big trend in Korea, apparently, of skipping weddings altogether, just showing up, doing the paperwork. But instead of doing like a big ceremony or something like that, just doing a small ceremony with the family, or even just going up to the city council office and just focusing on getting great photos of the wedding, like this. And I suppose some might say that this is taking away. People aren't even bothered. They're not, you don't even have a real ceremony. You just pretend that you had a real ceremony and take the photos. And then I remember that in Japan, well, the ceremonies in Japan involve generally fake priests inside fake plaster of Paris chapels that look like karaoke parlors. So in a way, I mean, I suppose even full-on wedding ceremonies in Japan are not that far off a fake wedding shoot anyway. So, okay, Lara. Uh, Everybody, we've got two confirmations. It's 1:45. So, okay, you know what? I think I just wasted all of your time on that story. I had 160, and I thought, what the hell? Um, but I heard that on a podcast this morning, which I think was the current podcast. It was a live one. Oh, I don't know. I don't know. So obviously the number is wrong. So thank you for the correction there. Anyway, but yeah. I mean, in the end of the day, what's really worse, having a fake complete ceremony with fake, or where they wear the dress and do the whole ceremony thing, which does cost a lot more money. I think the Koreans are onto something. I mean, yes, this is it kind of just cuts out all of the. In the end of the day, you really are doing the ceremony just for the memory and for the photos and stuff like that of having this Western style wedding. Just get the photos done. Just do a big cosplay thing. Kind of makes sense, honestly. You know, in the end of the day, there is a huge wedding industry in Japan that relies on those ceremonies being overly convoluted and people spending lots of money. But this approach, actually, the Koreans might have actually taken, it's just like they took J-pop and they evolved it to the next level of K-pop. I think they've taken the Japanese approach to Western style weddings, these sort of fake, essentially sort of staged, cosplay weddings, and they've just taken them to the next logical step of why spend all that money on a fake priest and a karaoke style plaster of Paris chapel when you can just get better photos. That makes sense. Damn, I mean, this is something maybe even Europe should be doing. This Korean trend taking off in Japan. I think this makes a lot of sense. Interesting one here. Some people. So I heard this. I was away when this happened. I came back and I heard that apparently when Ishiba did a press conference on the U.S. Attack with Israel on Iran, that apparently some people are critical of Japanese Prime Minister Ishiba for not being wholeheartedly supportive of the attacks. He was kind of, neutral on it. He didn't really give a very clear supportive response to the US on the attacks. And again, Langley Esquire's take on this was that he's just not a very good speaker. And it was surprising because, he's very pro sort of military generally, and they thought he would be pro-US. And how is Japan, which is supposed to do everything that the US is in terms of foreign policy, not following America on this? Like I pointed out last week, apparently Japan currently still gets 7% of its oil, 7% of its energy comes from Iran still. In spite of the sanctions, Japan still buys, is allowed by the US to buy energy from Iran. And the rest of all of its energy comes from Arab countries. So in terms of Israel, Japan has almost no trade with Israel. So even though it has strong ties with the US, essentially it gets all of its energy from the Arab countries. So Japan doesn't really have much of an incentive to stay out of line. Japan could be looked at a bit like UAE, for example, as a country that has diplomatic relations with Israel, but is generally sympathetic to the Palestinians and is not going to be overly vocally supportive of Israel. It doesn't have a pro-Israel lobby or anything like that inside Japan, so it's never going to be as vocally supportive of Israel as the US is. And Japan has never really been aligned with the US completely in terms of foreign policy with the Middle East. But while Japan wasn't really against the bombings per se, it was just kind of neutral on it. Like, again, probably a lot of Arab countries that honestly are probably happy to see Iran sort of get militarily sort of taken down a notch anyway, even if someone else is doing the work. Saudi Arabia, for example, is of course a huge rival of Iran, and probably not sad altogether to see the US and Israel doing some of the work that saving them some of the trouble. But at the same time, from Japan's perspective, Yes, it gets a ton of energy from Iran, and it has a whole bunch of reasons that it wouldn't want to be too strident against Iran. But the Mainichi Shimbun, major newspaper in Japan, actually has an editorial pretty much calling out America directly, saying that its attacks on its bombing of Iran's nuclear program is the same as Russia invading Ukraine. I don't agree with that myself, but in terms of that's the opinion of a mainstream newspaper put into an editorial that at the time, of course, it wasn't clear that this wasn't going to be part of like an expanded war like the Iraq War. And I think the Iraq War was very much like Russia's invasion of Ukraine, actually. Um, but the good news is that it looks like the war, that the U.S. attack was limited, and that's a good thing. But in terms of it being a major power, thinking it can get away with aggression because it's big, and and that a separate set of rules applies, which definitely is the might is right type approach is definitely the current sort of transparently the current U.S. sort of thinking anyway. Um, that sort of is the concern highlighted by the Mainichi tutorial, but it also highlights, I think, that Japan is definitely not aligned with the US on Middle East sort of policy, and they're pretty much calling out the suggestion that the Israeli attacks on Iran were sort of necessary preemptive self-defense, and them saying, well, that's rubbish. They were in talks. The idea that there was an imminent attack on Israel necessitating the attack is sort of ridiculous. It's surprising to me in a way that the fact that Iran's been supplying the other countries, Yemen, they've been providing weapons, even though they're not religiously aligned, of course, with Hamas. They've been providing weapons, and Hezbollah, of course. All the people who've been firing missiles at Israel have been using Iranian weapons to do so for a long time. That's a justification for Israel. Although Israel's been very focused on the WMD argument, just like America was in Iraq. But yeah, Japan, pretty mainstream newspapers in Japan are definitely not following the US line on this. In fact, saying US is being just like Russia, which is kind of interesting. Again, I disagree with it, but it kind of shows how Japan is not aligned. And this is a really big example of where Japan's interests are definitely very different to those of the US. Um, and absolutely, Quint, that Iran is supplying weapons. The Shahed drones they're Iranian, right? I mean, Russia's now assembling them, and they actually even use Western components in those. But all of that. But yeah, void theft. The Iraq War happened because Iraq invaded Kuwait. Certainly the first time. The first war defending Kuwait, I think, was entirely justified. The whole world agreed with defending Kuwait. I don't think everyone was so into the second Gulf War. However, the W. Bush War, the Bush Senior War, everybody, hell, I mean, I think even North Korea thought that the first Gulf War was justified. The second Gulf War, I think, was tricky. The idea that they had to go in there to get the WMDs that turned out not to be there. And in some ways the justifications are better this time. And look, to Trump's credit, it looks like it was a limited single strike to the extent that he did it, and it was targeted on nuclear facilities. But at the same time, yeah, Japan not having it and calling it out, very very much unlike most other Western powers. I think that lined up behind America. So really interesting there. I'm going to speed up because we are past time. I'm going to go very very quickly. Japan's deadline. America said that Japan is going to be subject to blanket like 25% tariffs unless they come up with a deal by July 9. Those talks are not making much progress. Trump has said, depending on how he's feeling, he might extend the deadline. I mean, it's literally blackmail. And what do they expect? Japan just bought, just basically provided a whole bunch of money to protect US steel, and yet they are still going to ban Japanese steel exports to the US. Car companies are still going to be facing tariffs, and so for no particular reason at all. So we have all of this, but at the same time, America, I think, is still optimistic that Japan would be a pushover in negotiations to get some sort of deal over to use against everyone else. And Japan knows that, and they're sort of honestly dragging their feet a little bit as well. But for what? They're literally being extorted. So, Japan plays this sort of game with China and North Korea, the same tactics, and they've always learned that you don't rush to give up concessions because it doesn't pay off. It just becomes a baseline for the next extortion. And this is seemingly what happens. So we'll see what happens whether the full-on tariffs do kick in next week. But at the moment, those are looking close. A study here saying that eating Japanese food may help in the fight against depression. It was a Japanese survey looking at people who had more Western diets and who had more Japanese diets and who was more depressed. And I don't know whether it was just the old Japanese gumbaru spirit that the people who were eating, the fish and miso soup for breakfast were just willing to deny depression until the last moment. Or whether I can sort of see how if you're eating lots of really processed crap, that would make you feel more crappy. But for now, it was a correlation rather than a causation type of a thing. But sure, if you're eating, more sort of whole food and less processed food or whatever, I could sort of imagine that being a thing. I don't know if that's necessarily the superiority of Japanese food over other foods. It's just not eating crap. But anyway, interesting study there. Oh, big story this week. Huge story. U.S. Investigation, apparently it was a media investigation, found that Japan, or a Japanese registered company, has been part of the major fentanyl supply chain that's supplying fentanyl into America, has been using a Nagoya-based company, specifically not Japanese people. Apparently, the Chinese suppliers of the precursor chemicals that are used to make fentanyl. Apparently, what's been happening is they've been supplying from China to a company in Nagoya, has been basically receiving the precursor chemicals, which have then been shipped by the Japanese company in the precursor chemical form, not as fentanyl, to Mexico, where they've been processed into fentanyl and then sent through Canada and directly into the United States that way. Some concerns that the sort of finding out that a Japan registered company has been part of the supply chain of the chemicals used by the gangs in Mexico and so on to make fentanyl, that this is something that could come up in trade negotiations. Anything could come up in trade negotiations. The Japanese government said, hey, we haven't found any fentanyl. We haven't confiscated any fentanyl for like more than 6 years in Japan. So we're doing great on enforcement. I'm not sure that that's how that statement should be interpreted, but that's what they said anyway. The fact that they haven't found any surely means that they're not doing a good enough job if they've been identified as a major hub in the supply chain of all the fentanyl reaching America. By the way, remember, I was involuntarily given fentanyl as part of medical malpractice in Seattle, and it was awesome. And honestly, next time they ask me, do I want to go under, I'll probably say yes. But yes, final story, second to final story of the week. Yeah, it's kind of funny. BBC, have they changed their story yet? Or do they do this? The first paragraph, Japan has condemned, they haven't changed it. Japan has condemned US President Trump for comparing the recent US strikes on Iran to the bombing of Hiroshima and Nagasaki that ended World War II. Setting aside the idiocy of the statement. I mean, again, like I say, when a bunch of people get together and put a golden retriever in charge of driving a school bus and the bus crashes, you don't get angry at the golden retriever. You get angry at the people that put the golden retriever in charge of the bus. Donald Trump's going to say stuff like this. I'm not getting angry at Donald Trump for saying stupid shit. Of course he's going to say this sort of stuff. What the hell is he doing in his job is my question. But setting that part aside, he said this thing. He said that his strikes at Iran were like the A-bomb ending World War II. But Japan has condemned. So that sounds like the Japanese government condemned, which is like Japan government, just like the attack. They're not going to come out and condemn a statement like that. Everybody kind of presumes that the Japanese government and whatever, and everyone in Japan is like, this is the worst thing ever. And they're really not. It's honestly, it's a couple of peace NGOs, and it's the cities themselves. Hiroshima and Nagasaki mayors, which are very, very left-wing as well. They're the ones who criticize this. The Japanese government is not going to burn goodwill with the US over a statement about the A bombings. In fact, it's practically expected. And sure enough, when you look at the article, it goes in here. Nagasaki mayor says it's regrettable. Then you've got an atomic bomb survivor who runs an NGO reported by NHK. You literally have a mayor and an NGO head representing Japan. Japan condemns. Like seriously, that's like getting the, honestly, for context, this is like the mayor of Seattle and the head of Antifa condemning something, and that becomes America condemns. It's like BBC. Seriously, you're idiots. And literally they're projecting what they assume. The Japanese government does not criticize America over the A bombings or Trump. I mean, it sounds like I imagine that the BBC thinks, oh, everybody must be, and these are just examples of it. But no, seriously, the Japanese government will not condemn this sort of a statement. And they misspoke there. They're fibbing. But that is a thing that happens. And yes, keep subscribing to Tokyo Digital Crew. I'm going to go over there right now to go do the after party where you guys get to pick all the tracks, and we are going to be doing Oops, I Did It Again by Britney Spears as a mashup for next week. But this last week we did Salt and Pepper, Push It, and track A. This guy won. So thank you, DJ Sunnyside Up. It was an awesome battle this week. When I heard your mash, I wasn't sure who was going to win. But those are all the topics. Hope that you are all well. One quick last look at the comments. It's an extremely effective pain med. Yeah. I mean, like I said, I specifically asked them not to give it to me, but yeah. Eric Bailey, good to see you, Eric Bailey. You miss basmati. Yeah, basmati in the right place with a curry is great. With the right food is great. But as a standalone bowl of basmati that you have like with fish, that's never going to work. I mean, they don't even do that like in the subcontinent or in Thailand. And that's what they did. So anyway, that was almost deliberately done. So after party, Aaron's got the link. Remember to like the video. I do appreciate it. Remember, I only do these videos pretty much for likes and validation from all of you. Pretty much, this is it. I appreciate you keeping me company every week. Great that there's so many people here. Really appreciate the likes and all the engagement in the chats. Hope you all have a fantastic week. If you're in the Northern Hemisphere, stay cool. If you are in the Southern Hemisphere, stay cool, but also keep warm. And go check out Tokyo Digital Crew, where I'm going to go and actually I have to set up the mixer right now, but I'm going to go play some music for you. So join me if you want to do that. Otherwise, I'll see you next week. Remember, follow me on Blue Sky and all the things. And 2.5 Voyages. I don't know if it's going to be on my channel or Victor's channel, but look out. We're going to announce that on Blue Sky. Make sure you subscribe to Victor's channel. It might be on this channel with Unrested next Saturday night, our time. So it should be awesome. And boom, peace.